everyone, welcome back to class in time to finish the semester with our poetry unit. The next 3 videos on form, imagery, and rhythm and sound will show you the approach to poetic form we will take in this course and point out the aspects of poetry you'll need to pay attention to construct your final poetry projects, which will involve the composition and sharing of 2 poems. But don't worry about that at this point. We will discuss what the project will look like now in our new virtual format in subsequent weeks. So first, let's attend to poetic form. So I'll just give you a moment to read to yourselves this note on a refrigerator door. Okay, now I'd like to you to consider who might have written this, and to whom, and why, what the intention was of this note. Okay, so we're going to take the same note and we're going to reformat the note in this manner that you see. Just take a moment. So I'd like you to consider how, as soon as we see this refrigerator door note, we see this in a clearly poetic form, a form that we recognize as poetry. It's like, oh, this is a poem. How does it change your imagination as to who wrote this poem, to whom, and why? So this was written by, as you can see, William Carlos Williams. And these discussion questions which I've posted here, we will discuss this poem together when we meet for our next Zoom meeting. Okay, whenever the next Zoom meeting is, on Monday or Wednesday. Okay, so first, how does the poetic form change your perception of this note? What is the difference between the earlier format and the latter? Does the form change these questions, to whom, by whom, and for what purpose this was written? And then notice the breaks between the poetic stanzas. Why are those breaks there with the poem above my head? Okay. And we will discuss these questions, as I said, when we come together in Zoom. So our approach to the composition of poetry, the reading of poetry and the composition of poetry, is we will take William Carlos Williams' approach, which is no ideas as in things. It's in a nutshell, no ideas as in things. So instead of intellectualizing ideas in poetry, Carlos Williams, as opposed to T.S. Eliot, who we will cover in subsequent lectures, considered that poetry could be expressed in the material, our material reality, in the very, and which is very present in the here and now. We don't have to imagine ideas or imagine a place, a pastoral ideal, a romantic idea of where we would like to be, and simply express the present moment in our local time and place by attending to the sensory reality of things, the things around us. So the approach that we're taking with form is kind of a Renaissance period, English Renaissance period, mixed with Beat Generation, post-World War II poets. And I'll explain why, because one of your poetry compositions will be an English sonnet, innovated by Shakespeare, and the other composition will be a free form, and the form is totally up to you. But I'd like you to express the same situation that we will discuss in subsequent lectures in these two forms, in these two separate forms. So the Beat Generation poets, what they were, as I said, post-World War II poets. They were a group of countercultural youth students, university students at New York City. Jack Kerouac coined the term Beat Generation in 1948 to refer to this underground kind of subculture in New York City, and these university students, who included Kerouac, Ginsberg, William Burroughs, Cara Hunke, they were questioning contradictions in American culture, which included patriotism and imperialism, cultural conventions regarding sexuality, racism. Remember, this is the generation of the civil rights era. Conventions regarding sexuality and racism and economic oppression. And Ginsberg in particular was influenced by William Carlos Williams' approach to poetry, no ideas but in things. So here are a couple of YouTube videos. One is a poem called America that's read aloud by Allen Ginsberg. And you can see how he focuses, one after another, how he focuses on the objects, the sensory objects of the here and now in the 50s, in the 1950s, when he was a university student, when he was a young student, about most of your age. And Diane di Prima, she also takes her, she also reads aloud her take on this kind of poetry called rant. Okay, so you can, at your own time, on your own time, you can look at these videos if you'd like. Had we been together in class, we would have watched this together and discussed it, but we will, I just want to kind of close at this point, and we can discuss this video together at our next Zoom meeting. And I'll bid you adieu. Take care.